So, as most of you have already seen in the media, there were some rather disgusting things going on the El Rubio island. Incidents which seem to have many celebrities of Vinewood involved in illegal activities, whilst El Rubio himself eventually died in prison, presumably due to suicide. The client lists of his island have to this day stayed in the hands of the IAA. Who exactly are mentioned in the files is a classified agency secret. However, I would argue that we can get a pretty good idea of who in Vinewood likes the kind of stuff that went down on the Caribbean island just by looking at their faces. And that is exactly what we're going to do in this video. One by one, we are going to go over every single one of the Los Santos celebrities who has even the slightest chance of having ever visited the island. For every character we investigate, we will also give a likelihood rating of how likely they were to do something disgusting on Cayo Perico. You can also give your own opinion about the characters in this video, and say if you agree or disagree with my opinion in the comments down below. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right on into this. Our first celebrity suspect is Devin Weston. Devin was an American billionaire, venture capitalist and investor living in the mansion near Fort Sancudo. He owned the likes of the banner chain hotels, Patriot Beer Company and shares of Merryweather Security Services. He also liked jogging, being totally gay and was overall just a weird fucking guy. Additionally, Devin had a very high level network, so getting into the island for him would have been quite easy. So, in my opinion, Devin Weston was without a doubt 100% mentioned in the files, probably more than once. Next off, we have the Vinewood TV host and longtime radio voice Lazlow Jones. Now, unlike Devin Weston, Lazlow's case is a bit more complicated. We all know Lazlow as this annoying, desperate, lonely guy who would probably do anything just to stay relevant. I mean, already in the late 1980s, he was absolutely desperate, looking for attention on the Vice City radio stations.
My ego was shattered long ago. You know, it was called the 80s, but I picked up the pieces and glued it together with bourbon and acting out sexually with not that very attractive of a woman. Okay? So speak for yourself.
I'm speaking for the show, dicktard.
And most recently, in 2019, he was just pitifully desperate trying to start his DJing career.
Boom! Yo, I've got some serious ED.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
No, EDM. I made a whole USB of tracks that I produced.
This is Lazlow.
High 10, too slow. Wait, come on.
Right, shall we?
I'm a DJ too. I spin at a lot of birthday parties for kids to make extra money. Because I can't always pay my rent because I live in a mansion. I'm a baller. I'm not desperate. I'm a celebrity. People love me. Come on. I love big pretzels like you people.
So you would think that it is an easy pick, and he was also on the island. But what you would then forget is that why would anyone want an annoying prick next to you on a relaxing Caribbean vacation driving you absolutely mad? I mean, I couldn't think of a worse person to spend my holidays with than Lazlow Jones. So with him, the question isn't entirely about if he would. He definitely would be interested, considering how he treated Tracy in Fame or Shame. But it is also very much about if he can. Now, admittedly, Lazlow does have some pretty good connections, as he has worked in Vinewood for many decades. And considering this, it is possible that he has visited the island. My own personal belief is that Lazlow wasn't exactly wanted to the island by other members of the client list. Despite this, there might have been one or two cases where he still managed to sneak in there through some connections. But even then, he wasn't really let to enjoy his trip to the fullest, if you know what I mean. But still, Lazlow's name is most likely also hidden in some files a few times. Another person who comes to mind when talking of high-level connections is Agent 14. However, his link to the El Rubio Island files is, at least to me, non-existent for a few reasons. Yes, if Agent 14 had the will to get to the island, by all means, using his IAA network, he could easily get there. In fact, I think he's one of the more capable characters overall to get onto the island, but I just don't think he would ever want to do that. Over the 10 years that we have gotten to know Agent 14, he kind of feels like a guy who does get a lot of action. So he doesn't necessarily need to go to a faraway Caribbean island to get it illegally. He carries an aura with him that very few other characters in the universe do. The only questionable things that make me a bit cautious with him is that he calls himself Protected Class.
If I can, I will fire you.
I'm protected class.
Yes, moronic.
Now, what he exactly means by this is unclear. Also, Agent 14 is involved with Mr. Faber, and later on you will understand how the connection to Mr. Faber drastically changes things for many characters. Until now though, I will call Agent 14 not to be in the Rubio files. Whilst the top agent of the IAA is probably not in the files, I'm afraid the same can't be said for the FIB. Until 2013, Steve Haines was one of the most known and decorated agents in the Federal Bureau. In many ways, Agent 14 and Steve Haines look and feel very similar, to the point where fans mistakenly confuse them for one another, with the exception that Steve Haines is a lot more arrogant compared to 14. In all honesty, I don't think Steve also would need to go to the island to get some action. He is also, platonically speaking, a very attractive man overall. I just think that hearing about a paradise island in the Caribbean where all the rich people vacation, Haines just wanted to be part of it out of pure arrogance. Most likely, he used his FIB information to some way blackmail El Rubio to let him also spend his vacation there. And unless El Rubio wanted to lose his illegal business empire, there was really nothing he could do about it. So yes, Steve Haines is most likely in the files. Since we are talking about Agent Haines, it is only fair to also think about Agent Dave Norton. Dave and Steve were partners in many of the legal as well as illegal operations conducted under the FIB badge. However, they were very different personas. Like Michael and Trevor, Dave was also from a small Midwestern town, living quite a regular life as a low-tier FIB agent in the area. After the deals with Michael in 2004, Dave did rise to nationwide fame and moved to retire in the sunny Los Santos. But he never changed with the move to what many call world capital of phoniness. Even Michael throughout the story claims that Dave is an alright guy who is basically just doing his job.
This clown, I mean, he's an okay guy, fucking cocksucker. We did a deal a long time ago.
And considering all of that, I don't think Dave ever needed nor wanted to visit some paradise island meant for the world elite. He always felt like a regular guy, wanting to just peacefully enjoy his retirement. And because of that, Dave Norton is most likely not in the files. Let's now turn our focus over from federal agents to the richest businessman of America, and specifically to the world's richest man, Avon Hertz, the founder of the Coil Electric Car Company, an IT genius, and also the founder of Clifford. Those of you who have had a closer eye on the file leaks from the IAA, you might already know that Avon's name is already confirmed to be in the files, just not in a way you might expect. In the unclassified files, we got to know that Avon Hertz absolutely begged El Rubio to let him come to the island. At one point, things got so desperate that Avon went to other Caribbean islands close to Cayo Perico to show that it was no inconvenience for him to come and stop by Cayo Perico if El Rubio would just let him do so. But similarly to Lazlow, nobody really wanted Avon to actually arrive there, as as he was also just as or even more annoying than Lazlow himself. So, despite Avon's name repeatedly appearing in the files, he actually never made it to the island because he was just so insufferable. Another one of those tech billionaires we have in Los Santos is Norris. Norris was the founder of the social media platform Life Invader. In 2013, he introduced a prototype of his new mobile phone when Lester and Michael ultimately eliminated him. Again, Norris is one of those figures that without a doubt visited El Rubio's island. He was one of the richest people in America who didn't seem to have any real moral code whatsoever. Exactly the type of people who are most commonly thought to be on the list. Norris's story in the universe was relatively short-lived, so we don't know much else about him or his connections to the island. But overall, I would also include him to be mentioned in the files. Until this point, we have only talked about the famous characters who might have been to El Rubio's island. But let's also take a look at characters that we had more of a personal relationship with, starting with Lester Crest. From the outside, Lester would be exactly the type of character to find his way to the El Rubio island. Until 2019, Lester seemingly hadn't had a single romantic relationship. He was just a creep who lived in his house, probably looking at very weird content from his computer. All in all, Lester's heist planning and hacking skills were really world class. But that wouldn't exactly open the door for him to visit El Rubio's island. Lester was always the kind of a guy to work from the shadows. He was a guy that no one on the internet even had a clue existed. Because of that, I want to question Lester's network and connection strength to be able to get him to the island. I just don't think Lester was relevant enough to get there. A completely separate question is if he would even want to. While Lester definitely was a creep, he never gave this weird vibe that many other celebrities did. To me, he was just a regular guy who didn't get much attention from girls in high school, so he grew up to be socially more challenged. All in all, I truly believe Lester not to be in the El Rubio files. Another guy who we have known for basically 15 years straight now is the Mexican cartel leader Martin Madrazo. And the Madrazo family is one of the very few people we know for a fact to have connections with El Rubio, as in 2020 El Rubio manipulated the cartel through some private family photos. That begs the question that might Martin Madrazo also have been to the island? And well, I'm sure he definitely has. But not perhaps for the same reasons that many people in the files. I believe that Martin Madrazo has been to El Rubio's island to actually make some business deals. Considering that once upon a time they were large business partners, I see no way that Martin hasn't visited the island of his main supplier. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Martin is in the files. Throughout the years, we have gotten to know Martin Madrazo as a guy who has raised a family while at the same time having Russian girlfriends in Los Santos. The ethics of it aside, Martin Madrazo definitely does pull some baddies, and therefore I don't think he has been to El Rubio's island to spend his vacation there. So I think that although Madrazo has visited the island numerous times, his name will most likely not show up in the files. Anyway, let's now take a look at the character you've all been waiting for, Mr. Faber. Faber is a guy who, in all honesty, we have known for a little under a year, and Rockstar has on purpose kept a very mysterious image of him. Until this point, we have yet to have a clear picture if he's a good guy or an evil maniac. One thing we do know is that he's a highly influential persona who is banking and financing every major player not only in Los Santos but the entire globe. And for that reason, I believe that Mr. Faber is not only mentioned in the files, but he was probably one of the main organizers of El Rubio's vacation island. In summer of 2025, Madrazo mentioned that Mr. Faber was quote-unquote El Rubio's guy.
He's my guy. He's El Rubio's guy. Anybody who's in charge of anybody, their guy.
Why would he only bring out El Rubio by name? Well, I think that there is a bigger connection behind it, one that only men like Madrazo might be aware of. Mr. Faber seems to play a bigger role in the entire criminal underworld of the US as a whole. Not only the El Rubio Island scandal that came up after his supposed suicide in prison. Fortunately, I think we will get to know a lot more about Mr. Faber and his island activities in GTA 6 Vice City, a place that was actually far closer to the island than Los Santos. Anyway, these are all the characters that we got to investigate in this video. Do you agree or disagree with any of the decisions that we made in the documentary? Also, who would you like me to investigate in a possible future part 2? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.